Morning guys, so welcome back to NZ Mopo Outlaw Customs. Well, third or fourth time lucky to this video. I keep getting interrupted, and then I did it a couple of times and I thought, gee, that's like way too freaking long, I need to stop waffling. But anyway, my name's Glenn, if you're new to the channel, and if this is the first video, which is like the 150th something, 56 I think it is, will be, of working on this 1925 Studebaker Standard 6 Tourer. At the moment, yesterday I primed, well I did some repairs on this stuff yesterday, and I thought maybe with a few coats of paint or a few coats of high build, they might have been a wee bit nicer than they are. I thought it might have just filled up the worst of the pitting, but it's not really enough. So I've just actually spent a few minutes. I set this little metal plate up here, which I actually built to do some hammer and dolly work on. There's actually capping that goes on the tops of the doors and the body. Like that's an old one, the cap that sits up on the tops of the doors and whatever. That's an old one. Somebody had started making these and I built that to get the profile right, because they weren't very uniform. You know what I mean? They were all over the place, they're in and out, so I built a couple of forms to hammer and dolly this. I've actually got this one here for the paint colours. So I've got an idea of what the woodwork looks like, what the wood graining looks like. So anyway, I'm actually using that form just hammer and dolly these out a little bit better, just to flatten them off a bit nicer than what I did yesterday on the, I actually used the anvil and I just wasn't 100% happy. Once I primed these, I actually realised they were a bit rougher than I thought they might have been. You know, when they were just in raw steel, they didn't look quite so bad. But yeah, I've just hammered and dollied a bit more, and I did a wee bit more of this. See if I can get this hoop-de-doo out of it. But yeah, I'm just going to mix up a wee bit of body filler shortly, and just spreading this and try and get these a bit flatter and nicer before we do paint them, hopefully in the next day, basically. Now I might be able to get these painted before the end of the day, maybe, or tomorrow. So yeah, we'll get these hammered out a bit more, get some body filler mixed up, get these prettied up. Like I said, I thought I might have got away with it with just a heap of high build on there, but yeah, they're not going to flatten out like I thought they might have. They're quite pitted. I knew they were quite pitted, but I thought it, you know, the primer might have pulled them up, but yeah, it's too much. So do a little bit of body filler and we'll give them another quick coat of primer and then paint them black, I guess. Righto, so when I was doing a bit of hammering before, one of the little repairs I'd done the other day actually split on me, so I went back and redone it. Actually cracked through here. I've actually got a better, cleaner repair this time, so that's cool. Probably a little bit much material on there, a little bit. You can see that's a bit high there, but I think by the time I put a little bit of body filler and everything on it, I can smooth it out a little bit. Nobody's going to really know. I'd rather have a little bit extra thickness there so it doesn't break again. I might grind it down a little bit. I might take a little bit off it and then come back and get some body filler mixed up. I gave it a wee scuff before with some 220. Probably if I did pour a shitload of primer on it, it would flatten out. But I think for just a little bit of body filler, scrape across it and smooth it out. And that's all it needs, and then we can address the rest from there. So I'll go give this a wee grind down, and then I'll mix up some filler, and we'll scrape across it. Right. I think that should do. Hopefully when I sand that off it should be smooth enough with another couple of coats of highboard across it. Probably should have done that for a start off, but yesterday, because I would have had plenty of time to do it within reason, if you know what I mean. For the extra 10 minutes or 15 minutes it would have taken to, you know, mix that up and knock it off yesterday, but should be right. We'll get it. That should knock down reasonably smooth. What it is. Right, we'll let that go off and have a look at something else, I guess. What should I play with now? Half tempted, because he wants to get a bit of stuff dropped off to get nickeled. Likes of these things, and door handles and stuff like that. I still need to work out what we're going to do for outer door handles, because we haven't got enough stuff, if you know what I mean. Might have to make some. Yet. Not quite sure we're going to do it yet. I've thought about it at different points, but I haven't. It's not something we've come back and revisited, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I'll have to think about that shortly too. But you know, it's one of those things. You know, you just go through the process and do whatever. But I'm not worried about that sort of stuff. You know, like we can get the doors open and closed. I'd rather get the mechanics done, and then when we're getting towards final stuff, you know, then I can screw around with door handles. Now I've got inside ones and outside, well, you know, inside ones, and I've got a couple that I can just open doors with, but you know, I'm not worried about that. But it's not as though there's anything else going in the doors either. You know, it's just a door panel on the inside and a door handle. There's no wind-up windows. You know, I've got other things I really need to worry about first. So yeah, but at some point I have to get a little bit of square stock that fits the things and turn a thread on the end of it and make a piece to mould a door handle round, if you know what I mean. Why do they do that? Like stupid friggin' like the bolt that goes through here. Now that they've got it loose, you know, that just fucking spins. Come on. Yes, baby. Undo. Hold the right pressure on it, or undo, but we get better, right? confirm that, but it looks like it's the same. Right. Clear bit of crack off this bench. So I'm dealing with all this paint up here. And the rood. And it's almost like that's not good. Alrighty. Yeah. Bit of screwdriver there. Right, let's see if we can get this undone here. Sweet. See what the go is in here. See if we can't drop the glass on the ground and smash it. Just kidding. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Because I don't think I've got another one. Stuff to clean up. That just pause it up. What a power twist. This bloody solid right here. Needed some persuasion. Well. Interesting. Very interesting. Off too. So we might better polish that up maybe, I don't know. I guess that's probably been nickel too. I'm guessing. You know, if we convert these and put like a modern bulb in, even an H12, you know, or not an H12, like a 4H modern type headlight. Alright, so that's broken off there, I'm guessing. So we swap welding onto there. That's all bent. I don't reckon that's been the right bolt, does it? Doesn't look like it's the right thing. It's probably the right size. Maybe? No. It's had something way bigger in there than that. I'm gonna have to make a, something for that. So we can get something a bit closer to what should be in there, eh? Get the bash of these dents out of here. Feel them. This is going to be fun. Straighten all that out. Unscrew that. Send that out of there. Crazy thing. Oh, I might leave that one together until I go to put that one back together, just in case I forget. It goes together. I think first things first. Well, I would say first things first, but I need to try and suss out a bolt that's going to fit this situation better. I don't know if it's worth trying to put a modern light bulb into this or not. You know, like a modern 4H or a Wonder. Probably have to play with this shit too. Looks like it's pretty freaking noodled. I wonder if we can get maybe a modern, I don't know if there's a modern LED bulb, like high beam, low beam type light that you can put into this, that would fit this. That would give a decent light, you know, because these old headlights were pretty piss poor. Not that you're likely when you're driving it at night, but if you were driving it at night, at least an LED bulb's not going to draw a lot of power, you know, through a generator of that era. You know, like an LED bulb's not going to suck a lot of juice, is it? But give you a very good headlight. And something like this. Wonder. We'll look into that. But it's close. It's obviously similar sort of size to what was through there, but the head and the square on the end of it's huge. Yeah. Really need to try and make something up to fit that. Just compare notes with the stuff, make sure it's the same. Yeah. Looks like, yeah, our casting number's the same. That's a good giveaway. So yeah, that bolt's the right size. It's just, yeah, this end is fucking miles away. So yeah, right. I wonder if this is worth getting the polish up and see what it looks like polished. I'm going to clean up the polish because I can imagine that was probably nickeled. So if it'll clean up and polish up and it looks fairly good, we might get away with it. Otherwise, we'll get Right. Got a bit of history here. Yeah, they're clean, so if we can read that. It says N.R. Campbell. Something day 4:30. So at some point, where are we? I don't know if you can read that or not. So this is, I don't know whether this is, it's probably been out of a car at some point and somebody's written something on there, or I can't imagine it being there since it was made, surely to Christ. But a little bit of history on there. Somebody's had it apart, and yeah. So these headlights were owned by Mr. Campbell. Interesting sense anything written on that one. That's interesting. I'll get a rag and a bit of polish and we'll give it a clean up and see if it will come up. Yeah, it actually looks better on camera than it does in person. I really need some like auto solve or something like that to give it a really good clean up. Just to see what it would really come up like. It's a sort of a bit of a 50-50 at the moment. I'm just not sure whether it would be salvageable to pass an inspection over here or not when it gets first put back on the road. So yeah, I don't know. It may do. It may polish up quite nicely, but there is quite a bit of a pitting in it. But the more you polish it up, the less there would be. Or the real clean it would be. So it might pass, if you know what I mean. But if we are nickeling everything, which I assume that would be nickel at the time, if that's a really nice, clean, polished surface and that was nickel like it is there now, I assume it's nickel. That would be, make quite a nice reflector. But if it polishes up really well, like it might be alright. But yeah. So we need to work out how we're going to straighten this up. So I think I'll straighten one, like I said, and then work on the other. That's a heavy bracket in there, isn't it? Everything else looks pretty good, apart from where it's been bent, you know what I mean? Hopefully I can get this piece straightened out. I might be able to maybe a socket or something like that, just to bash over there until I get some shape in it. But it's quite heavy gauge. But it should come out alright. It's just a matter of getting it nice and smooth. It's quite battered. If you're just going to paint it, would be right, and just get the. Well, worst comes to worst, that's what probably we'll do. I'll just body work it, and we'll paint this and just chrome would do the band and the base. If I can't get this, you know, as nice as I'd like, but maybe I could, you know. I could probably get it so far, and then maybe with somebody with a few more skills with panel beating, because I do know some guys that are really, really freaking talented. They're above my level around here, but I can only try and improve this situation quite a bit. Righty. Just trying to think how I'm going to do it. I want to I almost want to make something I'm half tempted to make a maybe a bit of hardwood or a bit of timber and shape it with that sort of curve in it, and make, you know, something about the length of this, or just a little bit shorter, say 6 inches long or thereabouts, with that profile and that curve in it, and a bit of hardwood, and shape it and have it on a maybe make a pole with a decent tongue on it, and then put that piece of hardwood over top, so I can get in there and dolly it, or hammer it from the outside, if you know what I mean. That I can stand there and I can just keep moving it around and play with it. I think that's what I might do, and make something up. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. But anyway, I'll work on that, and I'll work out what I'm going to do, and I'll see you shortly. Right, so having a decent look in here, trying to find the least spot that's sort of, I guess, damaged, to try and get an accurate read of the contour of this with this. So I think through here, looks like it's fairly unmarked, if you know what I mean. So basically what I'm trying to do is get as much as I can of right into here and out to as close as I can to this edge, so I can sit it over, I think probably a couple inch wide or thereabouts, maybe not, yeah, maybe a couple inches wide strip. Might have to taper it down a little bit when it gets to this end, but of that shape and that shape. So basically you're going to go and push this onto here. It'll freaking let me. We'll sit it down here like this, point you down here. So you get this and go, and get this shape here. Just come up a little bit. So I want to get as much as this shape as I possibly can. So I can make a profile of this on some timber, and make something that I can hopefully either clamp in the vise or something like that, and have it hang out so I can slide the headlight over. And once I've roughed this out from the inside and banged the worst of the damage out and got it close, then I can sit this over it and come along with a hammer and just planish it and try and get it as smooth as I can possibly get it. So hopefully then it can be re-nickeled. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to find a spot that doesn't feel like it's had a lot of damage. Use it as a profile, get some wood, make a piece up, and then yeah, I don't know whether I get a couple of pieces of wood and then sandwich a piece of steel in between it so I can clamp in the vise, so I can hang it over top and then hang the headlight bucket over it. So like so I can sort of like sit it here, something like about this position over the vise, and I can hammer it, and I can work from here where this bracket is in here, because where this bracket is, it's not really damaged except for here, which I'm going to have to try and bang out gently, but the rest of it I can get the whole thing really if I can get the profile shape made on a piece of timber, a couple inches wide or thereabouts. We'll get the profile that way, and then I'll take the shape of this and we'll get the profile that way. I'll sand it smooth with DA with 40 grit, and then maybe go down to 80, and then probably 240 or 220 or something like that, and that should be smooth enough so it's a nice surface, especially if I make it out of hardwood, and then I can come along and use it to planish all the marks out. So I'll try and get the worst of this shape back to reasonable, and then we'll use it to finish it off. That's the plan. And we'll call that Plan A. So I'll go mark this on some timber. Right, to get this, to get the piece of wood to fit in there, I had to cut it like that. And the main reason I had to cut it like that, because that's the outside edge. So we're talking like in there. And the main reason why I cut it like that there is because of this. Because when I was all around here, as soon as I turned it around like that, I kept running into, you'd run into that, and then you'd have to jiggle it and you'd miss pieces. So that's a rough final profile, I guess. And that looks like it's fitting. When I hold that in there, I don't know if you can see in there or not. It's kind of hard for you to see in there, but that's actually fitting in there quite nicely, that profile. So it fits, it's actually fitting across that plane pretty damn close. I think with just a little bit of fine tuning, we'll get that to sit in there really, really nicely. That's going to work well. So now I'm going to cut this here, this one here, down to that same shape, and then work out where I'm going to put this bit in the mix, basically, and then glue it together and bang a couple of smallish screws in it. So yeah, this won't take long to form at all. I just, I was trying to think how can I do it, but yeah, we'll just cut it to exactly the same shape. We'll get rid of any excess timber that this other one doesn't have, and be done with it. Smash it together, and then I'll work out where I'm going to put that in. Alrighty, so there's the form. So I cut almost like a dovetail joint out of there. Just rough, really rough. And then I cut it on there, and then cut it into the other piece of timber. It was actually really tight fit. I managed just to sneak it inside the pen line that I drew around that, and it fits really, really tight. So I just jammed a heap of that frickin' wood glue in between, and I've got it clamped up, you know, as you can see, the crap out of it in the vise. So when I take it out after lunch, basically, then I'll drill some screws in here and put some screws in here, just to make sure it shouldn't come apart with this glue, but you never know, so I'll just put, I don't know, six screws in it, I suppose, 6 or 7 screws in it, probably a couple on the outside edges, and then 2 or 3 in the where this piece is joint onto the other two, because there's no actual glue in between this and this, because it was such a tight fit. If it was a slightly looser fit, I would have put some in there, but it was such a snug fit, I had to just gently hammer the two together before I clamped it on here anyway. So that's that. So I got that gluing up, and then we can do the final shaping, trimming and whatever else, and jam that in the vise and knock the dents out of those headlights. Alright, so before I run away for lunch, I'm going to just quickly run the DA over these. They actually still feel a little sticky, which is, I thought they would have gone off plenty hard enough before now. It is hard, but it's got that gum on the top of it. Like, it's not hot here this morning. I've still got my beanie and my frickin' top on, like it's not cold. But like I haven't got hot enough that I want to take it off, so it's not such frickin' 25 degrees or anything silly. So typical frickin' weather down here. So yeah, I'll run the DA across here with some 40, just knock all the shit off the top, and then at least then I can give it a rough sand back with some 80, and then probably some 220, and see what they look like. But I'll just knock it off before lunch and then leave it, and we'll come back, and between doing the headlights and doing these, we'll get these cleaned up and sorted. So yeah, I think that form should work quite nicely on these headlights, but we'll give these a rough back. Alrighty, so I've given that a quick rough off with 40. I think it is, whatever it is, yeah, 40 or 60. So yeah, I'm not talking too bad. I might have to put a wee bit more in there. Like, it's not going to be a lot. What I'll do is, when I come back from lunch, I'll put on one of those small blocks, that one, I'll throw a bit of that shit 80 on there, give it a rough back, just have a bit more of a clean up, see what else, see where it's going to need it. Like, it's pretty obvious, but I'll just give it another rough over with 80, just to see if we'll pull it down a little bit flatter and see if I can get into this edge a bit better. Just see what I need, obviously, and the same on this one. If we dial up around the edges sort of type thing, and see where we're at, and probably a little bit of glazing putty or something like that, and we'll just smear in it, and they should be pretty good. But while that's going off, then I'll start screwing around with that headlight form, and I can use that same bit of 40 to start roughing that in. And then I think I've got a brand new 80 somewhere, I think, for that DA. I think in a bag. I think I've got one left. And then this is a part worn 220, which I could use, or I'll just use a bit of hand. I think I've got another one of these 80 grits somewhere, which I could use to help shape that too, or that'll just use one of these. But that's getting pretty naked. Worn all the edge off it. That's all my bits and pieces that could be still used. But anyway, I'm going to go have some lunch. Alrighty, let's have a look at this here and see how this is cured up over lunch. Well, it won't be fully, but it'll be close. This shit bonds up pretty hard in half an hour, 40 minutes, if you know what I mean. So I should be able to take it off here. And at least have a look and do some final shaping. Ooh. I reckon the glue squeezed out between there. I'll set the phone and I'll break that free. Oh yeah, the glue did squeeze in between this, so that'll be fairly well glued in. So yeah, we'll get that other piece off there, not that it's really going to matter. And start cleaning this up, I guess. Hit with the DA and just get this all set up so it'll at least fit in there nice, and clamp that in the bench and start knocking these dents out of this poor old girl. I might have to, I might just run over the outside of this too first with something, just to get rid of the crud and the shit off it too, if you know what I mean. Hopefully we can get this dialed in quite nicely. But yeah, cool. Yeah, so that's how it'll work. So that little lip there should tuck up nicely in behind, like that edge, and at least then if there is any damage right on that outer edge, I should be able to get that dialed in too, if you know what I mean. So yeah, just sit it in there like that. Once I get a little bit of shape in it this way and dialed in a little bit that way, that should be perfect for knocking all these frickin' dents out of it. And just sit it on there and just gently work your way around. And I can come, in theory I can go right to there. So the only piece I aren't going to really be able to do is do this piece, but it isn't really getting any damage in it except for this, which I can straighten that out individually, which I might do first. But anyway, I can just roll it around and do whatever bit I want. Perfect. Easy peasy. It wasn't terribly difficult to make. So I'll just retreat that profile with that gauge against that a couple of times, and then also do the same thing that way. And sit that on there and just, you know, make sure I get a reasonable amount of shape in it, and we'll be done. But before I start shaping that, I'm going to put a little bit of shit on there, and then I'll start with that. So those marks there were the huge dent that was in this one that was like that. I should have taken photos before and after, but I keep forgetting to do that sort of shit. But yeah, it's going to work a treat. It takes some effort. I've actually got a really, when I got it in there, you can see me pushing this part of my body down to here and holding it down with my hand. So I'm actually putting quite a bit of pressure down on that to try and hammer these, well, the murch, these marks out if I can. So at least when they do go to nick all this or whatever, like the least amount of damage on there if possible, you know, and they can put hopefully a few coats of copper on it, and it's good, if you know what I mean. I presume, well, I don't know, I'm guessing this has been nickeled. It's hard to tell, but it looks like it. And when I sanded it before, it just, because it was so thin and shitty, it's just come off. Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? I'd say. You can sort of see the edge there. Looks like it's the nickel's so thin it's, yeah, it's almost like it's been peeling off or something like that. But that is going to work a treat. It's just going to be a lot of work to try and get these hammered out. But like most things, it's worth the effort, and it's as hard as it is. Yeah, it's almost enjoyable because you can see the results so easily, if you know what I mean. So that's cool. Stoked. I'm glad that's working, and you can see on the wood where I've been, because it's getting shiny where it's been touching. So I know it's covering the bulk of it, if you know what I mean. Like that shape's working nicely for me. Is it perfect? Probably not dead perfect, but it's just probably as good as you're going to get it without 3D scanning and, you know, make sure it's like fucking laser true, but, you know, it's going to be just, well, it's going to be damn sight better than these fucking were anyway. That's cool. That is really cool. I'm stoked. Absolutely stoked. It's a wee bit of a dent in there yet, but I've just about got, you know, the worst of this. That's still a bit low, and then obviously I need to work more over here. I sort of knocked the worst of them out from the other way first. Just sort of like looked in there and go, oh yeah, it's a frickin' like dent whack, you know, give it a whack and knock just to push the worst of it out. I haven't attacked that yet, but these are copper rivets. Right, yeah, looks like a copper, or that's copper coating or some shit. So yeah, it's cool, awesome. These should come up. Hopefully quite nicely. That might be, I don't know, that might be brass over top of the copper or something, I don't know. It's hard to tell, isn't it? It might be a, you know, like another layer, like that bronze or brass or, I don't know, whatever, you know, that might be some sort of coating as well, but looks it, possibly. Don't know. I'm not an expert in that shit. Not yet, anyway. Right, I'll carry on. And have a quick look at this shit and give this a knockdown, and then I'll come back to that. That's working well. Righty, so I made this just to jam up the end of that. Again, use the profile tool to off the other one because it's not dented around the end, just to get a rough shape for this, so I can hammer some of these bits out, because I can't quite, the other piece, I didn't really make it quite the right shape into the back. It sort of comes to about there, and then I can't get any further. Or at least with this I can sort of hammer this last piece out, I guess. again, I can give this a bit of a rub down. This is just 220 or something like that, 220, 320, whatever it is. That's what he was on the block. And I can give that a rub over. And then I can see where the worst of the damage or high spots or whatever. And we can just slowly plenish that out with a hammer. Or my slapper or whatever, just dial it out. And the only other thing I really got to do, like there's a lot of little dents to get out, but I've knocked the worst out, so I need to get in here and punch this piece out now. So what I'm going to do while I'm at it is I'm going to find a socket that fits over that and just try and drive it down and straighten it out, even if it's just sitting against the edge of the bench, and drive it out, get it reasonable, and then I can like plenish it out or try and get in there the best I can. That's a bit of an awkward. Righty, oh, that video stopped midstream. I had storage on my phone because I had a heap of shit on my phone that I deleted but I hadn't cleared the trash bin. It was like, oh, I'm just going to stop now. It was like, oh, right. So, yeah, like I was just saying, I'm going to put a socket over that and straighten it out. I'm going to lay that sort of edge on the bench. Turn it around. Turn, people turn. I've got crap everywhere. Typical. So I'm going to sit this on the bench, something like that, and get a socket with probably an extension in there, and just see if I can probably just drive it and push it over and straighten it up so it's back where it should be, I guess. Yeah, and then I can finish bodywork in this. And I also said before I realised the camera had stopped, also what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a reverse of this as well. I might make it sort of 3 or 4 pieces wide, just because this is working really well, but I think for when I get down to the really nitty gritty, what I can do is flip it over. I can give it a rub on the inside, find the high spots that are still there, like some of these little spots here that I've still got to work on, but I can come along, I can sit that in this piece, I can hammer them down a little bit, and it's going to smooth into that piece, and then I can turn it back over, put it on that again, and try and get all those even and really get it dialed on. Because if this is going to be nickeled, they're going to have to put some coats of copper on there or whatever. But the less marks that are in there, the better, and the less work they're going to have to do to try and make it look nice. And the more work I can do, the less work they're going to have to do, and hopefully we end up with a better result. Because sometimes, you can make that look as good as you want, but if you don't really put that, last 10% in there, you get to 90, you say 95%, and you expect them to put a shitload of copper on it and sand it out. Well, they ain't going to do that. They're going to get to a certain point, unless you really pay them for it. It's a bit like that grill shell, because it was so pitted. I said to the owner, I said, take it in there, get him to just put a frickin' absolute crap load of copper on it, bring it back here and I'll send it out. But they said they will do it, so it'll be interesting to see what it turns out, because it was bad. It was really badly pitted. But it's the only one that we had, as I've said earlier. I've got quite a few grill shells up there, heaps. I totally did. I think we might have gave it like 6 different Studebaker grill shells, different variations. There's a few that are the same. I think that's the same as the one that's on that car. I'm not sure. Because he got that one because he thought it was the right one. And he wasn't going to have to do a lot of work to it. But really, that almost needs redone too. But it's not in bad nick. But it's not the right one. And the only one that we had that was in a fairly reasonable shape is the one that we sent. Because all the rest of them are even worse, or badly, or rotted out, or whatever, or they're just completely different. So yeah, I think some of them are off I'm trying to think what different models. They had the big 6, which was a really big car, and they had the standard 6, and I think there might have been one in between. So it was I think some of them are like big 6 grill shells, and there's wasn't many that are actually standard 6s. I think both these cars are standard 6s. I think that's a standard 6, but I'm not 100% sure. That 27, or the coupe, what do you want to call it, if it's a 27. I think we know what we think it is. But yeah, that's the only shell that we had that was the right thing. So, and it was really badly pitted, badly pitted. But it was still solid, it wasn't thin, because it's quite thick. It's probably, what would it be? Say 14 gauge, 14 gauge, something like that. It was fairly heavy, but it was badly pitted. So it's going to take a shitload of copper or whatever to put on there before we put nickel on it. So the better I can get these, the less work I'm going to have to do. Either we're going to have to pay a shitload to get them to do it. And chrome or plating is freaking near enough now. I'd hate to do a Cadillac or something like that from the 50s, guy. You'd pay fucking $40,000 just for the chroming, or more. And I know it's even worse in other countries because some of that shit's getting really frowned on now. There's some really good powder coating things that look like chrome. You'd just be better off to do that. But some people want the right thing, and if they're prepared to pay for it, they'll do it. Yeah. But it's the cost, compared with what's the car worth and what's the cost of it. What we've spent on doing this, just paying me, is barely going to cover. You'd never get it back off the car. Unless somebody really wanted one, you might. Or close to breaking even. Alright, I'm going to carry on. Alrighty, so what I've been making here is trying to get as close as I can to reverse of this. With that, whatever way that sits in there, like that. I've been trying to get a fairly close and smooth reverse of this. I've actually cut this out twice off the same piece of wood, obviously. I just went a little bit deeper again next time, because when I tried to sand it out the first time I screwed it up. So I got a little bit more tidy with the, because I was only cutting a little piece off, I don't know, quarter inch of that, with the bandsaw. I tried to cut it a lot more cleaner second time, because the first time I come down obviously with slots and then tried to trim it out, and I couldn't get it to sand out very nice. And I wouldn't mind trying to get a bit of an addition here, but I don't mind playing with wood, but yeah. But anyway, I'm fairly happy with the way that sits, that way. I'm fairly happy with what I've got here. I just want to be able to sit, like I said earlier, I haven't even straightened that piece out yet. I've been doing other things. So what I want to be able to do, if I can, I'm going to have to cut the back off that. Alright, so that's right. Yeah. So what I want to be able to do is just, where some of the marks are troubling me, I want to be able to sit it in the shape that's very close and hammer some of these spots down a little bit, and then go back to the other form, if you know what I mean. So if I can't get them to come out to me where I'm happy, at least then I can turn it up the other way and hammer them down a little bit, maybe even proud without being stupid. You know what I mean? And then I can put that form back over there and plunge them down onto it. That's kind of a plan. So yeah, I obviously need to cut that back bit off. I actually thought I had it, so I put the profile tool over that, but I might have that a bit sharp. Yeah, I need to whack that off or trim it on a better angle or something. Where's my profile tool? Where are we? Yeah, might have bumped it maybe. Did it? But yeah, so I was just trying to get a rough gauge on that, obviously, and then probably because it's, yeah, no, it doesn't really fit. No, I need to whack that bit off, which I might do. But yeah, then I can, the pieces I'm having troubles with, like, not that I could probably do it around here, but I possibly, you know, if this wasn't on here, I could have used that to do that too, if you know what I mean. But I'll go trim this down so that fits in there, and do a wee bit more sanding and see if I can just get it a little bit smoother. It's not bad. I just don't want to create myself problems. That's why I'm trying to get it as smooth as I possibly can, just so I can hammer it down, and then at least it's. That's why I've made this out of a slightly softer wood too. So this will move a little bit underneath it if it needs to. But yeah, I'll go trim this off a bit better, the way around that was meant to be. Yeah. I'll go trim that off, and at least that'll fit in there. I'll just knock it down a little bit, or work it down a little bit, so I can maybe put a bit more profile on this or something if I need to, just to help with this bit, if I need it. Righty everybody, so I've reprofiled a bit more, quite a bit more, well, I wouldn't say quite a bit, but I've definitely fine-tuned it a bit and reshaped it a little bit here and there. So I've marked, this is the front, this is the back. I'm not quite sure if that was the way it was around before or not, but I've fine-tuned it and retrimmed a little bit out of here and whatever, and reprofiled it. So I've got it now, so I've got it like a little ledge that to kind of push this up to, if you know what I mean. So it's, I know it's in about the rough same spot every time. Now it's not dead perfect. I could probably take this out a little bit more and put just a slightly less of a ramp on that, and it would fit a little nicer. But what I really want it for is just so I can, obviously, I've got a close shape so I can come along and any of these trouble spots that are in, I can come along, I've got something to hammer them down onto to get me out to the rough shape, and then we can come back to this on the inside and improve it. Sort of like this piece here, you know, like that's been quite badly knocked about. So now, in case you missed that, that's the piece here. So if obviously I want to hammer this out here, so on the inside, wherever it is, here. So if I just draw a rough line where I think I need to hit, I can kind of see it. So now I can come along, something probably not quite so sharp as this maybe. I might just find a slightly better hammer for that. Not quite so aggressive. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't really got anything that's kind of suitable, I don't think. But no. It's like many things, you you know, you pick up the tools and you go, nah, none of these hammers will do, I need to make something. But maybe that end, or that end, just to rough it in, I guess, and then I can come back and panel beat it from the other side. I would like something that was like this, that's probably not quite so square. Yeah, it's a little bit square. If it was slightly curved, it would be alright. I could modify it, but I don't really want to. I'd rather get another hammer. But if I come along here with this one, I can kind of see it here what I'm doing. Maybe around a little bit, possibly so you can see in there a little bit better. So I'm just going to come along and I'm just going to tap on that just gently. I'm not even going to hit on it hard, but just gently. And let's just mark where it's sort of been flattened out. So from about here to about here, just to give me a guide, just to start off with. But it's coming. It was quite flat before, now it's kind of got its shape back. Still a bit flat through here. It was pretty crushed in. But, you know, just gently bringing it back out. You know, you don't want to be sitting on there bashing it, because you don't want to overstretch it. But if you come a little bit far, at least, you know, like I said with the other block, I can bring it in and just smooth it out and bring it in and dial it in. You know, a bit like what I've done here with, because that had a big, this was that real bad spot on this one. That was really crushed in. There's a lot more work needs to go on there yet. But again, you know, some of these spots here that I know are giving me issues, I can come along and hit them from the backside, push them out, and then I can come along and hopefully dial them in. So yeah, anyway, I think that's going to do for today. And I'll carry on tomorrow, I think. So yeah, alright, go home and see how much footage you got, and make some more videos, I guess. And then, yeah, hopefully tomorrow I'll get that stuff sorted and maybe painted and see how we get on. Yep.